Hey, lighten up, jerk!
So my top five, and we're gonna have a little slight overlap in the case that, and sorry for you, and this is also no particular order, and sorry for you Citizen Kane fans, but I think the greatest film of all time is Casablanca, and that's gonna be number one on my list.
All right.
I just think that, and like I said, Citizen Kane is great. It's a good movie, but Casablanca, I feel it just. Great characters, great dialogue. I think the story holds up even, what is it, 70 years later? And God, it's such a good film. And it just, I love Humphrey Bogart. I think he's one of the greatest actors of all time.
Definitely one of the coolest.
Yeah. And just the scene where they have I think one of the greatest scenes in that film is where you have the Germans that are they're singing the national anthem, and then the French are trying to kind of overpower them, they're singing their national anthem over as loud as they can over that, and it's just the power of that scene. Oh man, it just the whole movie just captured me. It's such a good film. I've actually got my girlfriend she's Chinese, and I was and she was trying to understand the stuff that I like, and so she actually watched it with Chinese subtitles, and so I was this is one of my.
I wonder how that would be.
And so I don't know how that played out.
How did they translate? Here's looking at you, kid.
Yeah, but but she was watching it with Chinese subtitles. So I was this is my favorite film, and I think it's one. Not only is it my favorite, I actually think this is the greatest movie ever created. Wow! And and it's just God, it's so good.
Gotta watch that again.
So that's my number one.
Okay.
That actually is my number one.
Okay, so
one.
two through five is no particular order.
No, two through five is no. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I argue that Casablanca is greater than Citizen Kane.
Wow.
So
it's a bold statement.
Yeah, it is. And Citizen Kane is good. It's a very good film.
Wow.
Number two, I'm gonna go with one of my favorite directors, Christopher Nolan. I love Memento. I watched that. I've probably seen that about a dozen times, and I get something new out of that film every time.
It's one of those.
It's one of those things where it does take multiple viewings to the twists and turns in that film are so great. The character interactions are great. And because I don't want to give it away, because I want people to hear our list and hey, I haven't seen that film, or I haven't thought of that film in a while. Let's go back and watch.
Right.
And Memento is one of those films where I don't want to give because telling the story gives the plot away. And it's so good. It was a Guy Pearce was the lead actor in that film, and fuck man, he's so good in that film. I remember. I think it's one of Christopher Nolan's best films. I think that was the first film I saw of his, and I think he's one of the greatest directors of this.
That was his breakthrough film. That's the second film, but that was his breakthrough.
That was his breakthrough film.
Following on the radar, yeah.
Following was the first one, right? That he did with his brother.
Because this is the first one I saw of his, and I was hooked from that point on. And it's a good film. It's great. Memento was my number one until I got into Casablanca. And Casablanca, I actually argue that's the best film of all time. So I can't put Memento number one over that. So
just to nerd out a little bit, what did Nolan do after Memento?
Oh crap! I don't remember his first film. The film after that.
So it went following Memento.
You look, Andy. Can you look that up real quick? Because there's a few of Nolan's films I haven't seen yet that I want to see.
The Magician. What was that?
Yeah, Prestige.
That one I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
Oh, yeah. I
heard it's amazing.
It's good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that I haven't seen either. So I will say I haven't seen all of Nolan's films.
Yeah, but I haven't either.
But I'm gonna get there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like holding off a little bit.
So can I ask you, speaking of Nolan, Memento over Inception, or is Inception coming up?
Inception is not on this list.
Oh wow, Memento over Inception. 'Cause I love Inception.
No, don't get me wrong. I love Inception too, but I think it's kind of like in the gaming community, there are some games where like where the first one you watch is your favorite. So I think Inception is great. It's really good. Yeah. And I'm also kind of going with Andy, like kind of like I don't want to put like two directors, like the same director like twice in this list. Yeah. But it's also like like Legend of Zelda, like the first one you normally Final Fantasy, same thing, and it's kind of like so to me like Memento is the one that was the film that really like captivated me towards Christopher Nolan.
Gotcha. Okay.
That doesn't mean that like it's necessarily his best film, right. But that's my favorite of his.
Gotcha.
I love how he did that film.
Yeah.
I mean, you like I said,
I remember when I first saw it, I was like, whoa, I've never seen a movie like this.
Yeah, because I didn't see Prestige, I didn't see his very first one, because Memento was my first, and then like right after that, like I've seen all of his stuff. Yeah. So I will continue to see all of the films that he makes, because I think they're great. I know he's working on one right now.
Nolan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
What is he working on right now?
I forget the title of what it's going to be.
Did you guys like Dunkirk?
I loved it.
I loved it. I love Dunkirk.
Dunkirk was amazing.
And see, sorry, little side note. Dunkirk, because I think a lot of people were expecting like a Saving Private Ryan film.
Right.
Yeah,
that is not what Dunkirk is.
No, it's not.
Dunkirk is it actually is very no blood really at all. Like there's really no bloodshed or like gore in it at all.
Oh yeah,
it's more of telling the story and the way that he told the story from those three different perspectives at the same time is like it was great.
But his manipulation of time again, like Memento,
he does that so well. That's where I think he excels. He manipulates time in such a way where it really does. You have to. It's so cerebral. It's great. That's what I love about him as a director.
Yeah.
Even in I think like the Batman films too. Like he kind of does that a little bit as well.
He does. Yeah.
And it gives it. The reason I loved his version of Batman is it really. Oh God, he did it so well. Like because you can't just. With time-honored traditions like a Batman or like Star Wars, you can't just fuck around with that. Like, because we've had many arguments on Star Wars about this. It's like you can't just jump in and do your thing and kind of like not honor that stuff. And what Nolan did the best is like he made Batman, I think, better for one in one sense as far as live action goes. And he told the story in such a great way, and like the characters were great, but like he still put the Nolan spin on everything.
I think his greatest contribution to Batman was that he made Batman accessible to everybody.
Yes,
true. Yeah.
You didn't have to like know every little backstory about Batman or like his utility belt or whatever. You just got this really great, awesome Batman story.
Right.
That was it. Yeah. And like so it was completely approachable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's to me that's his greatest contribution to the Batman.
I agree.
Because it's like I said, you didn't the way that he gave Batman to everybody.
Not to digress too much, but quick question: Michael Keaton or Christian Bale?
Okay, if I'm going live action, I'm going Christian Bale. Christian Bale is my live action Batman. He is not. Christian Bale, though, is not my favorite Batman. I would have to go with Kevin Conroy, the Batman animated series.
The voice actor
that did Batman.
No. It's funny because I kind of started off with Keaton,
and Michael Keaton as Batman was awesome, by the way. I'm not so like
good.
Right.
But I'd have to agree with Robert. Christian Bale's my live action Batman.
Yeah,
and Adam West as Batman is also the campy Batman.
Yeah.
I love that too.
Yeah, he's a classic.
But I agree with Robert because we actually talked about this a couple days ago. But just like when we think about the voice of Batman, it's Kevin Conroy from the animated series.
Okay, I didn't really watch that, so
I would. The thing is, like, it's animated. watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it delves into like a lot of really like serious topics and just
Yeah, especially the earlier one when it was still like kind of piggybacking off of like the Tim Burton Batman movies. So many great stories from it.
yeah, because it started like 92, 93, I think was the animated series when it first started.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that spread into like Superman,
Justice
League, all those
cartoons,
series. Yeah,
the cartoons.
Batman Beyond.
Nice.
And then later on in the games, the Batman Arkham Asylum games, it was all the Batman animated series voice actors that were
Including
came
Kevin
back,
Conroy.
even and Mark
Batman.
Hamill as Joker.
That's right.
Mark Hamill played Joker?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the cartoons. Yeah,
Was a voiceover?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And Mark Hamill is my Joker as well.
Yeah.
As a voice actor,
Voice
like,
actor,
but
yeah,
animated ones.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I would say live action Joker. I think Heath Ledger killed it. Like it's.
We'll have to see about Joaquin, but
We'll see with when Joaquin.
I don't know,
Phoenix
but the
comes into
trailers
play.
are very promising.
I know.
Yeah.
It looks
So I might have a new favorite Joker. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
He looks. Yeah. Joaquin is
It's
crazy.
like that physical
He's crazy
like,
enough.
transformation.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my god,
I
it looks
know.
so promising.
Although Jack Nicholson too was pretty.
He
Yeah.
did a great
He
job.
did a great job.
I'm
because
sorry.
we grew
yeah.
up on that.
Yeah,
Like I said, the 1989 Tim Burton Batman film
Yeah.
is great.
It's
It's
so
really good. You have to watch it. I happen to like the Nolan Batman with Christian Bale. Like it just
I would agree too, but it's so good.
because and the thing is the iteration of that because Bale what he was going because everyone makes fun of his Batman voice.
yeah.
But I think he was going off of the Batman, the Dark Knight Returns style of Batman, where he did in the comics when you're reading it, it's like they when the people who know him, know him as Bruce Wayne, it's like, why are you changing your voice? Like it's so I can like he's masking his voice.
Yeah.
That was what Bale was going because he read the Dark Knight Returns in preparation for that role because he read all the because he's a crazy person. He read all the comics up to that
he's
point.
Crazy. Yeah, Christian Bale's crazy.
Um,
It lent a sense of reality to it too.
Right,
Exactly.
Yeah, because like you're not gonna use your regular voice.
Yeah, because he's not a superhero per se. He's just a dude
yeah,
Right.
in a costume, and he's gonna definitely try to
he's
hide his
kind of like
voice.
I look at it as like if you're looking at like comparing DC Marvel,
Mhm.
Batman is kind of like Iron Man in a sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's just obviously like because DC's a little bit better, but like it's like comic wise.
Right.
I'm talking about comic, not movies.
Yeah.
But like with DC, like he's the Iron Man of the DC universe.
Right.
He's the rich guy with a lot of like tech,
right.
but he's not necessarily super powered.
He's not super powered. Yeah, he's a human.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a human being.
Yeah.
He's immortal. Kind of coming back. I forgot that Nolan did Insomnia.
That's that's
my
right.
gosh.
Yes.
The remake of Insomnia. Yeah.
Yes, I forgot about that
That's
too.
right, with Al Pacino, right?
Yeah, Al Pacino and Ron Williams.
Yeah.
It was a good remake.
Yeah, it was a good remake. Have you seen the original?
I haven't seen it in a very long time.
Yeah. It's pretty much the same movie, but
Yeah.
I think Nolan did it better.
That might be something where I had to go and like watch the original and the remake back to back.
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
been years since I've seen both.
Yeah.
God, that's what I love about this podcast. It makes me do this stuff like this.
I know.
And of course, Eric's gonna write it down to like remind himself that he has to do it too.
I'm adding something else to one of my lists.
I forgot that Nolan did that one. That was a great film.
Yeah, that was it's film.
My parents didn't like it, but I thought it was great.
All right.
Okay, so to add to my list, and
Number three?
So number 3, and this is actually the reason why we're doing this bonus episode because I actually added to my top 5 list. By the way, so a couple weeks ago, for the very first time, I watched Eyes Wide Shut, which blew me away, and I actually think this is Stanley Kubrick's greatest film.
Another bold statement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Statement.
His last film, I think, was his greatest film.
Huh.
And the reason why I'm saying that, and because I love Stanley Kubrick, he's probably my second favorite director.
Who's your first?
I like
Christopher
Christopher Nolan.
Nolan?
It's a sword fight between both of those guys.
I remember the last time I was here, I had asked you, who do you think is a modern day Kubrick? And you said Nolan. I thought that was a brilliant answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would stand by that.
Yeah.
Just because they're Nolan isn't just pumping out films year by year. It's he takes his time and really crafts these universes and puts in a lot of time and symbology in his movies. Yeah. And that was what Kubrick did. He didn't just pump out movies. There was actually a lot of movies where it's like you see like the films that didn't get made by him. It's like it didn't work out. But like you could tell. And same thing with Nolan. It's just he has a lot of stuff that probably hasn't gotten made yet, or it's like we'll just shelve that for now, and maybe we'll get to it another time.
I think it's smart that he didn't make it until he did Dark Knight, because that was his do whatever the fuck you want card.
Yeah.
After that movie, it's like studios is like, just do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. Here's the money.
Yeah, really. And that was 2001, The Space Odyssey for Kubrick. That was his make whatever the fuck you want movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
because that movie made them a lot of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, Eyes Wide Shut is because I watched this. I had stayed away from this film because I just thought it was just kind of a sex trash piece, and that's I maybe shouldn't have thought that way, but that's the way that the movie was explained to me. That's kind of what I thought it was going to be. I was like, I don't really want to watch that type of film. But then I watched a bunch of I had seen somebody had mentioned some stuff about the film that there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let me dive into this a little bit, because I trust their thought process on stuff. And so I looked into it, and I remember I was laying in bed watching the film, and as it starts off a little slow, but as the movie continues, I remember just sitting up. And it's like, holy shit.
Really?
And I couldn't stop. As soon as the movie was over, I was just my heart was pounding, because the movie was it was so good. And I was like, let me dive into some of what are people saying about the film? And I didn't go to sleep that day, by the way. I ended up staying up all night, watching videos about the movie,
really?
People talking about the different theories concerning characters, some of the conspiracy theories behind the movie. Fuck, man, it's so good.
I have to confess, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, and we had been talking about this a little bit earlier, but the main thing is what a lot of people know about it. It does talk. It talks about what exactly is cheating in a relationship. Especially in sort of a marriage, and it's a great storyline, and there's a lot to talk about concerning that. And I think anyone that's in a relationship or a marriage, this is actually a good movie to watch. It's not some sex. It's I'm serious. It's not some sex trash piece, but if you really the road that they go down is actually, I think it's a worthy road to go down, and it does. What exactly is cheating? Is it something is it someone that has these crazy fantasies that they
is there a moral statement to this movie? Or
I don't think Kubrick's making a moral statement per se. I think it's left up to the and here's why I think the film is great, because it's you're not just watching characters. What Kubrick does to you in this film is that you become the characters, and maybe you because I actually, in a lot of cases, you become. I think for guys, you become Tom Cruise's character, Dr. Harford. You're not just watching him; you become him in a sense, and you go down the road that he goes down. And maybe I don't know about for the female viewers of Eyes Wide Shut, maybe you become his wife Alice, and you're thinking from her perspective. Maybe they become Dr. Harvard. I don't know. But I feel like as far as me as a guy watching this film, I became Dr. Harvard, and I don't think he was necessarily a good guy per se, but I understood the direction that why he went down the road that he went as a character in this film. And as far as a legality of having an affair and cheating, quote unquote cheating, he never crossed that line. But he he went down this like journey, and every part of the journey got increasingly darker and scarier. And then there's also like the talk about secret societies and all this stuff about, and there's all sorts of stuff that you can go down with this film. And we've been talking about like all this in our previous episode. We talked about like all the symbology in movies that like people are doing, and this movie has a ton of it. And you can go down a ton of different directions with the film, and I think it's great. And I could choose, if I was just doing like a top 5, I could probably put like all of Kubrick films in like the top 5.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think this is his best film. That I haven't had a movie capture me in a way like this film has in a long time.
Really?
It's and this is the reason why we're doing this episode, because of Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah. Yeah, when you said
it's so selfish of you.
I know.
I know. You're such a selfish dick, dude. Selfish dick. You. All about you.
It's always about me. That's right.
All right.
So number 4. God, I'm gonna have to go with and. I could say Last Crusade, but I'm gonna have to go with Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, just because it's, God, both are great. And yes, I know Indiana Jones is a pedophile in this film, but that doesn't take away from the greatness. I love adventure. I think, unfortunately, we never got a great Indiana Jones video game. But the Uncharted series definitely captures the adventure of Indiana, the spirit of Indiana Jones. But because I love that, like, seeking after like a treasure and solving mysteries, and at the end you realize that the treasure that you were going after and seeking and solving all these puzzles, and you realize that the treasure really was more of a curse than it wasn't necessarily a treasure. It was more of a curse in the end. It's kind of like
True.
Yeah.
True.
And I love, I don't know, something about that, like I love that, where it's I like going on those type of adventures and realizing that, like, this thing that everyone is idolizing and wanting to go after, in the reality it's like it's not really all that good to go after.
Right.
And it's actually more dangerous and could kill you in a sense, than more so than, and it's more, and it's not because at the end they find the Ark, the Ark of the Covenant, and but it was really more about the journey than actually when they get it. It's actually oh shit, we shouldn't have gone after it in the first place. But but that journey is so great.
High cost too.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a huge cost to it.
Yep.
And Indiana Jones realizes that there's a high cost. He has the reverence for it, and he's more about preserving the history, and like he just wants to go after it. Like he wants to find out the information.
Yeah,
he cares about the history so much, but it's not about like necessarily getting the treasure, and he wants to preserve the history.
Right.
And I'm one of those guys. I love to preserve history. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I don't want to abuse the history, whereas in the case the Nazis did.
Right.
And also the Raiders of the Lost Ark also has one of my favorite all-time movie scenes, which was not meant to be in the movie. There was supposed to be a great fight scene, but because of dysentery or some sort of sickness that Harrison Ford had, he's like
dysentery.
There was something.
He got the flu or something.
Something. There's different.
There's different stories out there.
Really?
But so the scene where like the guy's like whipping around his sword and like all this stuff, like, and the guy, and I'll tell a little bit more about the story, but essentially he's whipping around his sword, and then Indiana Jones just shoots him dead, and that was like, I think that's one of the greatest scenes of all time.
Classic,
that wasn't supposed to happen, and the guy that was the sword fighter, he had trained for like a month, several months on like for that scene to do the fight scene. And then the fact he was pissed,
long drawn out fight scene.
But because
he does come out on top eventually, but because Harrison Ford was sick and like he could barely stand, he's like, "Can I just shoot the guy?"
That's awesome.
And the guy, the sword fighter, he was pissed.
He was pissed. That's hilarious.
But I think that
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, but I think that was the greatest one of my favorite scenes in films. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's a great meme too. One of those great gifs. I use it all the time.
Right. It's
So good.
I challenge you. Shut up.
All right, so that's my number 4.
Okay.
It's one of those films like anytime it's on, I gotta watch it.
Yeah. Any of the Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw The Last Crusade today because I was hanging out with my sister at her apartment, and I was like flipping the channel, and then actually Raiders came on. No, Last Ark.
Last Crusade. Yeah, also a great one.
That's the one with Sean Connery we were talking about earlier, right?
Right. Yeah.
I like
so
that one.
we were there was sorry, so go a little bit on the Indiana Jones side, but like there was a one of the channels I watch on YouTube, the Cinemassacre channel. They do movie reviews, and they had a 2-part on the Indiana Jones series. And obviously, one of the great debates is what's better, Raiders of the Lost Ark or Last Crusade. But I think the more interesting question is Temple of Doom better than Crystal Skull?
Crystal Skull.
Huh. Whew, maybe.
That's like I said, I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
Kind of based off our last episode, is Chinatown better than Godfather? It's tough.
It's hard, yeah.
But anyways, so I'll get to my number 5, just to move things along. My number 5, and this has probably changed in the 3 weeks since we've been talking about this stuff. It has changed probably about 10 times. And I don't really think there's a wrong answer for this because my top 10 is kind of the rankings are always changing. I'm gonna go with Psycho, actually.
Hitchcock.
By Hitchcock. We did a Hitchcock month in October on Nocturnal Transmissions for our movie reviews, and there's so many great Hitchcock films.
So many.
And we tried to hit on the B-sides, like some the ones that people don't know about, but Psycho you can't pass up. It's so good.
It's so good.
And I think the reason what made me like it even more, because I've seen the movie probably 6 or 7 times. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
And I watched a documentary on Psycho and kind of the thinking behind it, and they talked to all the actors that were there and did all this stuff. And man, it's so good. Like how you're on the edge of your seat. It's black and white, purposely on black and white. And it's good, man. It's one of the because I'm not a huge horror guy.
Yeah.
I think like I said, I don't like a lot of the slasher films, but I love thrillers. Right. And Psycho is kind of like the horror thriller, where there's a little bit of gore, kind of, but it's a mystery. You're trying to solve the mystery, and you're kind of lured in a direction where you're with the opening character, and all of a sudden that character is gone. Yeah. And now it's like, crap, what do we do? Because you were so invested. Right. And now that character's gone, and what are the ramifications of that? And the thought process behind it, and when the movie initially came out, they didn't allow the press to come out. Like they screened it in a like, as far as like when it came out, you had to watch it a certain way, and Hitchcock was very adamant on doing that, like where they wouldn't allow there was a certain way you had to watch it because he didn't allow the press in because he didn't want stuff released about the movie. He wanted the mystery to remain. Yeah. And that was very important because
it's like a spoiler alert.
Yeah, it was spoiler alert before spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that wouldn't work today. Right. But it was so important back then because the misdirection that he led the audience in was so important to the story. Right. And it led to the mystery of it. And I think to me, it makes it one of the great movies of all time.